Hey, let's set up backdrop books photo shoot. So I've got this that I made. I mean, it's not exactly the most beautiful thing in the world, nor a particularly handsome piece of carpentry, but you can use anything like this just to hold your backdrop book if you want, or you can just lean it against the wall. Most of my time taking backdrop book shots, I just photograph them against the wall. One thing about having a stand like that is you can move it once I clip my book to it, and you can move it. Let's clip one on. So there we go. I've picked my backdrop. I've just clipped it on. I use some little pegs like that, little clamps. You can get those at the pound shop or dollar store or what have you. If you lean your backdrop book just against the wall, you don't even need that. Unless there's a lot of architecture in it, it won't matter if it's leaning back slightly. It works just fine. If you have got a lot of architecture, some of the sci-fi books, you just want to check that your verticals are running straight up and down. If you lean your backdrop book back the way, you might not get such a good effect. Right, let's move on. So I always recommend you use a plinth to put your figures on. It really just expands the ground that they're sat on. And a really important thing using my high-tech wooden block is you can move your ground just a little bit higher than the bottom of the backdrop book. Let me show you that. Obviously we've got our stand there, but even if it was on the same level, even if it was like that, it's not quite as good as going a little bit higher. It makes it just a bit easier to have the camera lower. And again, you can change the height. I've got all sorts of different wood offcuts, and you can change the height of that really easily. We can lift it up if we want, lower it down. I think that's about right. I kind of know what I'm doing, so I've picked the right size block straight away. Right, what I'm going to do next, I've got this really useful bit of scenery that I made specifically for backdrops. You don't have to have this. We could shoot just on our plinth with the backdrop book, but I really like it. Very simple. It's just air drying clay, some tufts, exactly the same sort of technology as you would use for basing. It's a bit of cardboard, lay it up, very simple stuff. But I'll tend to put that in front of the backdrop book. I'm making a total mess of it because I'm trying to do it left-handed. I'll bring my plinth forward a bit. Now, I might want to raise that up a bit. I've got my plinth quite high, and I want that just to be peeking out behind the plinth. And there we go, another bit of wood. And this stuff does not need to look pretty because it's not going to be in shot. Let me move my extra bits for later. But look, what I've got now, see, is we've got this further away scenery. We've got a bit of distance in there, and that's just going to add to the illusion. And both myself and Annie have really been stressing that you don't actually have to use any of these sort of more complicated techniques, but if you're wanting to get the best out of it, why not? It's nice to show you some sort of more advanced stuff once in a while. Okay, next up I've got a couple of bits just to scatter terrain, these wee hills, much the same as that long piece at the back there. Just random rocks, tufts, mini rocks. I've got some nice cut out laser cut bracken there. That's all good. I'm also going to use some blocks again to just get the height on these. It also makes them really easy to move around, which is groovy. Once I'm set up, I might want to move these around. So there we go. We'll get that one like that. So we've got a foreground, a middle ground, a background, and the backdrop. And when we bring it all together in the camera, now bear in mind I'm shooting vertically here for, video platforms on the internet that like that kind of thing. We will crop out the bits where there's joins. Now I want to mess about with this a little bit. I'm going to bring this one forward so that it covers up the join. Right, let me get that in focus. There we go. Now, also, this is a very deep sort of scene now. These foreground elements are pretty much, well, they're not guaranteed, but they're very likely to be out of focus. That's good. We want to focus, on our model in the middle there, and we want stuff in the foreground blocking out our shot to give us a bit more composition, a little bit more visual interest, and we'll crop it down, get rid of all the wooden block stuff that's showing. If we wanted to, we could just keep adding scenery. little rocks I often use. I happen to have some here. I often use a bunch of these, it's just chippings, large chippings for your garden or what have you. I'll use those to just fill in any gaps that I don't want. I can put some in the extreme foreground just to cover up the edges of the scenery if it feels like it's going to track into shot. Shouldn't do on this setup, but let's demonstrate again. Let's just poking up above, breaking up that line. Worth doing. Right, let's just see I might get a bit of wood and just cover up that bit there, because I think that might cause us problems or just be annoying. Now, something I've discovered is over time, just take the time to do it now, and you'll be happy that you did it later. Am I gonna go with it? Yeah, let's go with another piece of wood. Let's pop that in there. Don't want to go too high with these. Some nice flat rocks. Again, those are gonna be out of focus probably. Yeah, if we're kind of about there, maybe not. Maybe I don't want such a hard cut off there. I'm just messing about. I'm just getting it how I want it. That's looking pretty good, right? And then I want to set up my tripod and I want to set up some lights. But again, the important thing that I'm kind of wanting to get across in this video is that looks sort of rubbish. But once you're down, got the camera nice and low, it's going to look great. And the fact it looks rubbish, when you can see it from a different angle, just doesn't matter. Right, lights. I've got this permanently attached overhead little spotlight there. It's just an IKEA sort of bedside lamp, and I'll often just direct that at the backdrop. Just pushes the backdrop back a bit, and you can see already through even my phone camera lens, it's brightened it up, which is great. Let me see if I can hold that there and turn it off. Yeah, look at that, look. Much better. Now, again, I'm being a bit over-spec'd and fancy here, but again, I'm going to show you sort of what I do on my maximal shots. This is a little LED panel. I say it's a little one. That is not a super duper pricey one. I got a pair of those for about £100. Now, I understand you might not want to spend that kind of money for photographing your miniatures. You can replace these just with table lamps, any kind of light source really. The nice thing about these is I know that the LEDs will not flicker through the camera lens, which can put stripes across your shots, because obviously I'm photographing stuff all the time. So having a pair of these is well worth it for me. I did save a bit of money. Let me show you. I made my own photo stands. That's like a drill bit in there. Saved a bit of money not using super expensive studio photography stands. And I've got all kinds of different heights of them, so it's handy if you've got a few tools and a bit of scrap wood. You can do quite a lot, and then that just slots on there. I mean, it's, again, this is not super high-end stuff. Right, I'm going to plug these lights in and we'll turn them on and we'll do some more lighting stuff. Right, I've switched my lights on. I've got one on one side is a warm setting. Now, one of the things about these panels is they have loads of controls on the back. Again, not necessarily needed for what we're doing, but for me, I love it because look, I can change the colors really easily, and I've got a dial so I can change the saturation and so on, so I can have really strongly saturated light. The saturation of the light comes out very strongly through the camera, so you don't need very high settings of saturation. And if you keep warm colors on one side, on the other side I've got a cool color, that's a blue color. Might not come out very well on my phone, but that is a bluey light. Again, the saturation is down under 30% saturation. Too much color and it becomes a little bit overpowering. I've still got my overhead spot just on the backdrop there, and we would be ready to go. One additional thing I personally like to do, just because I like the effect it gives, is I've got one of these cabinet lights. That's an IKEA thing. I usually put in the back here. I've attached it to a block of wood because it kept rotating. Again, it's all a bit Heath Robinson, but who cares, right? I'm going to switch it on. Looks terrible from this angle, but it's just pushing some light up onto the backdrop. Again, I don't know if I can get that. Yeah, look. Hey, look at that. Now what that's doing is giving you, it's almost a bit of atmospheric perspective. It's sort of faking some atmospheric perspective, which means the backdrop looks further away, which is cool. Now, one thing I want to try for the first time live on camera, I got a new piece of gear. Let's take this old one out. I mean, I sort of just rescue this stuff from the dump and things. I don't want anyone to think I'm spending loads and loads of money. I don't have loads of money. I got, right, see if I can get this in shot. I bought this really thin LED strip. It's like super flexible, tiny, thin little LEDs, right? And what I've done here is I've attached it to a piece of wire, a thick bit of armature wire. So now it's totally bendy and I can bend it into any shape I want. But today what I want to do is I want to replace that cabinet light with this and see what happens, because these are really quite powerful in comparison. Something you might notice is it's not great to put things further back in your setup once you've established it, because you're going to knock all your stuff. So it's better to work from the back to the front. But you know, I want to try this out. So let's fire that up. Now that's a really bright white light. And because it's bendy, I could bend it in the middle and get 2 layers of that. Let's see, I think once I turn off my main lights, because I've got my main lights in my workspace are on. So I'm going to mess with that a little bit and we'll see. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that now. I discovered if I bend it right back on itself, my long thin strip light, it's kind of breaking it, and I don't want to do that, even though it cost me about £2, I think. It's a very simple bit of kit, very cheap. But I still don't want to break it, right? Because I want to use it. And I think flexing it into big curves will be more handy. I could also curve it around through the scenery, which might be quite nice. We're just going to leave it lighting the backdrop just now. Right, so it's time now to pick a figure and get a camera. Might get a tripod too. Right, let's talk about cameras just briefly. What I shoot on is the bottom end Canon EOS. I think they're called Rebel in the States, the 4000D. Again, that's what I can afford, and it does the job for what I want. It's like bottom end of the sort of, what do you call that, digital SLR kind of camera. Attached to that, for this shoot, I have got your basic, what's that, an 18 to 55mm lens, cheap as chips because the cameras just come with them. That is an additional one I picked up. No, I was given this because they're just, the world is awash with these lenses. Attached to this, I have got this sort of Frankenstein macro lens and this big glass kind of trumpet that is, it approximates a wide angle lens. It is really good if you're shooting models. Shooting on wide angle can be really nice way to shoot. That was, I think it was about £20 or something. So, you know, all in all, I have probably got, the camera is the biggest expense there. Oh, it doesn't matter going into price, it doesn't matter. You can moderate any level of expense on this. I could just as easily be shooting on my phone as on my camera. I just really like how the lenses look with it, with a camera. My tripod is a little bit more fancy now, but I used to use, is it here? I used to use the cheapest sort of online retailer tripod. It's like absolute kind of basic model, very flimsy, but it works. It doesn't matter. I mean, you know, if it works, it works. Equally, I could just work on a different way around on the table and rest the camera on some blocks of wood. You don't have to have a tripod. For me, it's really good because I shoot an awful lot of backdrop book stuff. So it makes sense. Anyway, right. Now, one thing is missing from this setup, and that is a miniature. Now, considering we're shooting fantasy, let me see what I can find. What are we going to shoot here? Oh no, look, it's Turkey Man from Bad Squid Eye Games. Right, so we'll shoot Turkey Man. So, all of my elements I can adjust in height. I can adjust where they are quite easily. I can move stuff around. I can turn things if I need to. I've sort of eyeballed it as I was setting it up. I've got my lights set up. I've got my warm light on one side. I've got cool light on the other side. It's a pretty basic neutral setup. All right, let's shoot some shots, see what we get. Hey, here's a little tip. I've shot a few frames. Something I like to do is I start off on autofocus and I make sure my subject, which is my miniature, is in focus. It has automatically done that. That works better than my failing old man eyes. So I know it's in focus, and without moving very much at all, I just click that onto manual focus. Now the camera is not going to keep trying to change focus as I kind of look through, take shots, move scenery and things. Obviously I need to keep my miniature in the same place, but it does mean I can click away without the camera refocusing all the time, and sometimes because it will just suddenly start focusing on the backdrop, or on the backdrop instead of the miniature or what have you. Now I'm wondering in this video, I don't think we've got time in this video to do smoke machine. I would quite like to do a little demo on how I use the smoke machine, because I see a mixture of slightly dangerous smoke machine use, because it's not stuff, this sort of vaporized glycerin that comes through smoke machines, it's not going to like poison you right away, but it's not stuff to be breathing in all the time. And don't do dangerous stuff for a hobby, you know, it's not worth it. If you want to do dangerous stuff, go bungee jumping or something. So I've got a few tips on that front. I'm very, very lucky. I have a workspace which has a gigantic door that I can just fling open, put a couple of fans on, which I have on standby whenever I use my smoke machine. But we'll talk about that another time. Anyway, let's cut this together, and we will I'll share some of the photos that I've taken. Oh, do you know what I'm going to do, just to make this video longer, is the great thing about backdrop books. I've spent a lot of time talking about all this scenery. Now I've got my scenery set up, I'm now going to let in with my left hand. I'm probably going to smash all my scenery. I can unclip those, lift the book straight out, find a different page and put it back in. Now I'm working left-handed because I'm trying to video things. Right, okay, I'm going the wrong way. We'll go easy mode and just flip this. Look, there's a lovely different scene. This is the power really of backdrop books, because you can just put another scene in. I'm watching that because that's going to fall. Have I got time to get a peg? I could engineer this whole thing to be a little bit better than it is, but just now I'm quite happy with how that setup works. So there we go. This is an A3 backdrop book, by the way, so we can get some really big scenes with that, but I don't need to change anything, and I can just click away there, snap away. I always take 2 or 3 shots of everything because, hey, I don't know, it's just a habit, but it's good. It's a good thing to do. Anyway, there we go. This is really long. I wonder if I just take all my chat off and cut it down to like 30 seconds, like what the young people like. Right, there we go. Anyway, we're live on Kickstarter as I'm uploading this with Backdrop Books 3. Or you can get them direct from us at handiwork.games, or you can go to Annie's store at Bad Squiddo Games, and she stocks them too. And various other stockists around the UK have got them. We're working on getting them into America. But there we go. Anyway, yay!